Vanny is probably one of the most common things people bring up when talking about their disappointment with Security Breach. The amount of potential in a copycat serial killer that dresses up like the Velveteen Rabbit and tries to hunt the player down is huge. But it's too late now. As of Ruin, Gregory purged Glitchop from the system of the Pizzaplex and the minds of those it had corrupted. With the realization that the Princess Quest ending was the true one, came the realization that Vanny is now gone. Or is she? I'm willing to bet that everything we believe about this character, who she is, what happened to her, and where she is now, are dead wrong. And I even think we can prove that the ending of Security Breach we all presume to take place before Ruin never happened in the first place. Without further delay, let's get into it. The who of Vanny is something I think not many people still debate over. Pretty much everyone seems to agree that Vanny is Vanessa. Help Wanted and FNAF AR look like they went out of their way to imply that to be the case, and Freddy straight up calls out that Vanny and Vanessa sound very similar. But while I agree that the story direction of Vanny and Vanessa being the same person is where Steel Wool was planning to go, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that they didn't end up going there. People tend to forget that it was leaked that there was an unnamed major story beat that Steel Wool was planning that they scrapped because Map had figured it out before the game was released. It seems pretty likely to me that that plot element that got changed was the identity of Vanny. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the Vanny meter? The Vanny meter was a cut mechanic that filled up a bar over time whenever you got into a new area. The longer you stayed in that area, the more the bar filled up. When the bar was full, Vanny would come to hunt you down. It's a very cool idea that would have made Security Breach scarier while also giving Vanny some much needed screen time. The Vanny meter is unique though. Unlike most other cut content in Security Breach, the Vanny meter was fully finished. It had UI, sound effects, and it worked perfectly fine. All I needed was to be implemented. It wasn't even put into the game after launch like other cut ideas. Do you know why? Well, there's a part about the Vanny meter I haven't mentioned yet. Vanny doesn't just spawn and come looking for Gregory. It finds wherever Vanessa is on the map and swaps her out for Vanny. Like, Vanessa literally disappears and Vanny appears in her place. If Vanny and Vanessa are supposed to be the same person, why was this fully finished mechanic never implemented, even post-launch? Additionally, when Vanessa finds Gregory, she puts him in Lost and Found, and while she's talking to him, the camera switches to Vanny, who immediately starts walking to the door of the Lost and Found. If Vanessa is Vanny, why wouldn't she just kill Gregory when she found him? We know Vanny isn't some alter ego that Vanessa isn't aware of, considering her therapy tapes. If Vanessa is Vanny, how did Vanny just appear on the camera while Vanessa was talking? It being some kind of recording just doesn't make sense since Vanny starts walking towards Gregory right after she finishes talking. No one talks about how Vanessa, not Vanny, tells Gregory to come back to the main stage when he's about to leave the Pizzaplex at 6 AM. She mentions a reward, but if Gregory comes back, nothing happens besides getting jump-scared by Moon. If Vanessa is Vanny, why wouldn't she lure Gregory back and then kill him herself? Let's also get the obvious stuff out of the way. Vanessa and Vanny do have two different VAs, and while that's not hard evidence of anything, I do find it interesting. We also see Vanessa the security guard on top of the Pizzaplex after Vanny fell off the roof and died. The whole idea of this being Vanessa's soul trapped in the Pizzaplex just does not work. Why would her soul even get trapped in the Pizzaplex in the first place? That's not how I've seen haunting work in this franchise ever. But, okay. If Vanny isn't Vanessa, who is she? We can't know for sure, yet. We do have these enemies from Fury's Rage, a game that seems to be teasing the next mainline FNAF game. A pair of twin women with matching ponytails and matching VR headsets strapped to them is certainly something. Vanessa and Vanny being twin sisters does seem to be the best explanation, at least for now. Regardless of who you believe Vanny is, though, what happened to her is perhaps a more important question overall. The majority of the FNAF community seems to have settled on the idea that the Princess Quest ending of Security Breach is the true ending. But we disagree.
What's up, everybody? Can you believe it, guys? I'm in the video. And today I want to talk about Security Breach. Specifically, which ending is canon in Security Breach. It's a very contentious topic, and to be honest, I understand why. Because while it may seem simple at first glance, when you actually take a look at all these little details, things do not really line up as well as they should. There's been a lot of developments recently in the fandom, especially around Burntrap and his possible relationship with the Mimic. In my opinion, there are two main contenders for what the fandom agrees could be the true ending of Security Breach. Number one being the Burntrap ending, and the other being the Princess Quest ending. Of course, at the time, we knew that Princess Quest gave us 3 stars, while the Burntrap ending was an animated cutscene and the Princess Quest one was in the comic book style. However, with the added context of Ruin, we know that Freddy has no head, like the Princess Quest ending, and that there is a comic version of the Burn Trap ending. Well, surely that seals it. Bada bing, bada boom. Wrap it up, fellas, we're all done here. Except we're not. Just because there's a comic drawing of something, does that mean that we have to write it off entirely? Does this mean that Gregory actually is not homeless? That there are no missing people? Was that all just a lie? I think not. But you see, this Freddy is different to the one we see in Security Breach. And noticeably so. But not just that, the Burn Trap ending is literally called the true ending. That, coupled with the Vanny graffiti all over the Pizzaplex, leads me to a different conclusion. I think a lot of people want to write off the Burn Trap ending as non-canon because a lot of people just want to forget about Burn Trap in general, pretend he doesn't exist and replace him with the Mimic. Sadly, the evidence just doesn't point that way. We know that the Tangle is real, as we see him in Ruin, so this drawing can't all be fake. That, coupled with the fact that the Pizzaplex is ruined in the first place, likely due to the Tangle getting out, I believe that it is implied that both endings are canon, or that a mix of the two took place. Burn Trap's pod is in Ruin, and a lot of the cut voice lines from the original trailers do make me think that Burn Trap is not the Mimic. So, maybe it's a mixture of the two.
A lot of people connect the broken Princess Quest machine with the fact that we see Vanessa with Gregory in the Brazil ending, but I think it's important to remember that in the Princess Quest ending, the arcade doesn't get destroyed. Moreover, we see a lamp resting on it in the real world, and the Princess Quest sword impaling the arcade in the AR world. When you think about the fact that a lamp resting on the ground is the game over screen for Princess Quest, and how we see a glitch trap icon on the wall next to the broken arcade, makes me think the princess lost her fight with Glitch Trap and that the Glitch Trap virus is still in effect. Think about how when the Balloon World arcade was destroyed, that resulted in this weird evil eclipse seemingly escaping into the AR world. Also, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but the animatronics are still incredibly violent. We know that that only happened in Security Breach because Vanny corrupted them. While you could say that now the animatronics are acting like this because of Gregory-based trauma, I don't know if that really lines up. Consider how Prototype Freddy acts when he senses someone nearby. Whether you believe this is the same Freddy from Security Breach or not, this animatronic has no reason to be this murdery without Glitch Trap's manipulation. The biggest evidence by far of Glitch Trap still being out there is Vanny. About 1 minute into Ruin, we immediately see Vanny graffiti like DW fan mentioned. It's even the same purple paint and style of writing as the Vanny graffiti in Security Breach, and we see it everywhere throughout the whole game. But defaced walls aren't the only thing we see in relation to Vanny. Angry bunny drawings in the daycare, staff bots and music men and their scalps carved up to look like rabbit ears, and most importantly, the Vanny mask. Someone left this mask here, and someone reprogrammed Mapbot to hand it out. We know from the Brazil ending and from the multiple lines of dialogue from Healthy that wearing the Vanny mask can have long-lasting effects on one's sanity. And with GGY no longer being a minion of Glitch Trap, perhaps Vanny is looking for a new or reluctant follower. Bringing Vanny back even makes sense from a writing perspective. She became a fan favorite from just the small amount of scenes of her we saw in the trailers. And like I said earlier, Vanny basically being a non-element of the game really upset some people. So instead of essentially killing off Vanny as a character like the Princess Quest ending does, why not keep her around so this character that people love can get a chance to actually do something in the story? That's it for now. I hope you liked the video. Huge thanks to DWFan91 for joining in this theory with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me on the channel, my friend.
I'll put a link to his channel in the description and a link to his most recent FNAF video. Go check it out, it's very, very good. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, it would really help me out. Leave a comment if you agree with our theory or want to point out something you disagree with or details we may have missed. Bye!